It's author Sandra Wilson here in the Kindness Kangaroo Library, and I have another storytime lesson for you. In our most recent storytime lessons, I've been inspiring a story idea, and today is no different. In lesson number 4, we're talking about writing about the character traits that you would like to see kids emulate. So many children's books will have characters that kids can relate to. So they're characters that live similar lives or do similar activities, behave similar ways. And so it's a perfect way to give these characters the models that we want children to be able to learn about, learn from, or mimic. And so often you'll see, people with good behaviors defeating those with bad behaviors or teaching those ones to do better. And so that's a similar story trope throughout all the different books that you might read. So it's a good place to start when you're thinking about what to write about. Think about character traits. What character traits do you think would make a good character that you would like children to be able to emulate? And there is your inspiration for a story. Now, it could be that it's a whole book of different character traits. So in Gnomes of the Round Mushroom, which was written by myself and illustrated by Jason Tench, we created gnomes that were similar to the Knights of the Round Table. So we kind of took the idea of good character traits and created them into each personality. So we have Trunk, the tolerant, and so this is the introduction to the character, and the story talks about why he's tolerant, what makes him tolerant, why it's important to be tolerant. And then we have Mud the Mannered, and so then again it talks about what good manners mean, why that's important. We have Petal the Patient, and again it's taking the character trait of patience and creating a story around it to sort of describe that character or introduce that character. Now these characters can go on to star in other books that deal with those character traits even more, in more detail, situations and how they would cope with those and things like that. So it's a great start of an introduction with various characters emulating various character traits. You could also take a character trait and create a whole story based on that. Now, author Cheryl Charles has Messy Marvin and Friends series, and each of these books, they're like chapter books for kids, early chapter books. Each of these introduces a character that has a specific character trait, and the story talks about how that character responds to certain situations. So this one, which is Sporty Scotty's Big Race, deals a lot with good sportsmanship. So it also talks about healthy living. So it talks about good food and exercise and things like that and how important that is. But it also, has a problem, and then something has to be solved, and that deals with how this character responds to it using the character traits of good sportsmanship. So you could create a whole book based around that character trait. You could create a book of different characters with different character traits. And it all just starts with, what character traits do you think are the most important to emulate? And then move from there to create a character based on those character traits and create a story where they can practice those character traits. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's storytime lesson. As usual, in the details below, you'll see links to get the books for yourself, Gnomes of the Round Mushroom or Sporty Scotty's Big Race. So both of them will have links, and you can get your own book and find out about these wonderful character traits. As well, subscribe to the channel so that you'll get word of when the next storytime lesson is posted. And the next lesson will also be about inspiring a story. So, what kind of ideas can we create to help us be inspired to write a story? And then after we have lesson 5 and lesson 6, both on inspiring a story. And then after that, we'll start dealing with how to write that story and some of the writing techniques that you might want to use. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.